Test, test. Good evening, everybody. How are you? Wow. So this is fun. First off, Merry Christmas to everyone. Gizzard Gary, nice to see you out there now that you know I am back. First off, guys, I want to apologize for being sick last week, not doing the show. I really wanted to. There were so many amazing stories and news to cover. But I was laid in bed half dead. It was not fun. Now then. This is a pre-Christmas episode of This Week in Stupid. So Merry Christmas to everyone, because we will not see each other again until after Christmas has come and gone. I may make some content over those few days, if I have time. Hopefully I do. But anyways, Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah to those of you who celebrate that. And if you celebrate Kwanzaa, you're a weirdo. No one celebrates Kwanzaa. Anyways. So, first off, let's say hellos to everyone in the chat. Let's see who we got out there. We got D. We got D-Temp. We got Kingpin. We got the Gizzard Gary. We got the Ozark. We got the Gun-Toting Pacifist. What is up, guys? So glad to have you out there. Hopefully some more people will join us. So one thing that I found out very interesting the other day is I am indeed being censored by our friends at YouTube. How do I know this? Because Gizzard Gary was having a chat. Kingpin was in there, and I hopped on over, and a few other people were in there, like the Gun Snob, who used to watch this show all last year and comment in the comment section and be a participant in our community. You guys basically, other than Kingpin, had no idea that I was once again creating content. So for those of you out there, please hit the notification bell. Hopefully that works and you get my content. Otherwise, well, that explains why I've had very slow growth and only really been able to maintain. So I will say, as you know, now more than ever, please share this channel with your friends, with your family, with your online friends, so that we can grow, because certainly we will not be showing up in any recommended sections. Imagine that. YouTube censorship for a conservative comedy pro-gun channel. That makes sense. Maybe I shouldn't have messed with David Hogg last year, huh? Oops. So yes, I'm sitting here armed with my 20-ounce Red Bull. Guys, I got a new desk, so I was able to make it a standing desk setup to where now you can see everything looks a little bit different. You know, I'm able to adjust the studio a bit, so pretty happy about that. Now, all that. I have one big thing before we get into our story. So I didn't even put this in here. I wasn't initially going to share it, but I'm working on something, guys. Seeing as YouTube has censored me, I had talked to Dee about this idea a few weeks ago for Patreon supporters only, making a news aggregate channel. But due to the fact that I'm being censored, I think I should probably look at other platforms, because I have a feeling YouTube, while it's the biggest, the best right now, there are other ways to grow this. So I am working on a website that will be a news aggregate site, and I don't think I'm necessarily going to host these streaming videos on there. I don't think it actually has the capability to do that, but I will look to using other platforms to live stream so that I can get around our friends in Silicon Valley basically screwing us. Now, all right, all that's done. Let's get into some of these stories here. The first one is just a silly video. Just enjoy. This is how cold it is. And right back in. These guys say no. I don't blame them. I don't blame those little ducks one bit. I just thought that was a funny little meme video that you guys might appreciate, because it has been cold. Yesterday I walked my dog. It was -1 degrees in the morning. I don't really particularly care for -1 degrees. All right. So now, now that we got through the fun little silly story, first off, why do I live in the north? Why do I live up here again? It's so freaking cold. It's ridiculous. Painful. Next symbol. All right, next thing. A symbol here. The OK symbol. All right. Oh, the fake outrage mob. My God. Can these people never stop? The media has found a new thing to be outraged about. I guess they've been outraged over this before, but watch this. Just
military students at Army-Navy football game caught on ESPN flashing hand signals that have lately become hate symbols.
It is now being used everywhere as a symbol of white supremacy, white power, pro-Trumpism.
We just had members of the Navy during the Army-Navy football game, and it were flashing what looked like the white power sign. Like, these are the things that we're talking about in the news.
It's highly disturbing and troublesome, because it takes away from what is really a sort of a singular event on the sports calendar.
A game, we should point out, that was attended by President Trump.
There are some that are suggesting this is an intentional hand signal viewed by many as a hate symbol.
The gesture in question, you may have seen it, looks similar to the OK sign. CNN has made a decision not to show it so as not to propagate that symbol.
The hand gesture is not a joke. White supremacists latched onto it, not as a symbol of irony, but as a symbol of their prevalence.
At a place like the military academies, it really is, it's way over the line, and it's not what you expect. It's not what the academies expect. And that's why I think you'll see these students disciplined accordingly.
That is incredibly troubling, to say the least.
It is very dangerous, and it's becoming synonymous with the Republican Party.
Oh, yeah, this is a really difficult one. Either these kids were pulling a racist sign, or they were all trying to tell the cameraman that they're doing fine. Who knows?
Are you kidding me? This is just more fake outrage that the media has to come up with to drum up the hysteria that there are white supremacists hiding under every rock. Look, this game, the circle game, has been hugely popular amongst young service members for years. You want to know why? Because if you do this, and as long as it's below the waistline, you get to punch someone in the nuts. It's pretty funny. I've even seen people with the rank of sergeant playing this game. And for those of you who don't know how hard it is to pick up sergeant in the Marine Corps, in the infantry, it takes a hot minute. About 6 years or so for someone to pick up sergeant. Look, this is something foreign to the fake outrage mob, though. It's called humor. It has nothing to do with white power. Speaking of the military, this next story, for those of you who did serve, oh, you are about to laugh hysterically. Oh, I gotta hit this. Ozark says, let's go to the chat. I gotta get that up there. Convince the Nazis to start using the NBC, Peacock, and CBSI as their hate symbols. That would be hilarious. Someone get on 4chan and someone get on Reddit and make this happen. That would be pretty much one of the best things ever. But, so now, anyways, I want to hit this story here. Oh, there we go. That'll work. Marines searching for 2 missing rifles at Camp Lejeune. Oh boy. Marines at Camp Lejeune have amassed a search operation for 2 missing rifles that were rumored to have been stolen by a passing car. 2nd Marine Division spokesman Lieutenant Dan Linfranti, First Lieutenant, confirmed to Marine Corps Times, who first reported the incident on Friday, that Marines are and have been actively searching for these weapons, which went missing in a training area aboard Camp Lejeune. Accountability is key and trained too often in 2nd Marine Division. All right, this story is hilarious for me and for those of us who are not currently on Camp Lejeune, low crawling with the entire base online through the swamps trying to find missing service rifles. No, I didn't get any word if they were M4s or M27s. Definitely not M16s. Those have actually been phased out of the Marine Corps even when I was in reserves. Actually, I mean, Pogues may be using them still. I don't know about non-infantry guys if they're still rocking 16s or not, but I know at least the infantry is all M4. These guys were infantry, so they would have been M4s or M27s. They said rifles, so that would have excluded fun things like the M249 SAW. Now, rumor is that one of the rifles belonged to a butter bar, a 2nd lieutenant, and the other belonged to a corporal. The corporal should have known better. I mean, you can't really expect anything otherwise from a 2nd lieutenant. You know, I remember bases going on lockdown when guys would have their optics, like they would lose their night vision, their PVS-14, or their PEX-16, which is a infrared and also visible aiming laser with a flashlight built in. Pretty cool, actually. The flashlight very underpowered. Other story. But those would fall off during a range, and you would see just like the whole base would get locked down just for guys to go across maybe a 500-yard long range and spend hours finding that. So this must be a pretty ridiculous situation. Hey guys, check out my new AR-15. Just kidding. It wasn't me. I wasn't the one in the car. All right. Next story. This is going to tell you how just disgusting San Francisco has gotten. Let's go here. Where are you? There we go. Cleanup on aisle 10. Gross photo shows homeless man defecated inside San Francisco grocery store. I hope none of you are currently eating food right now. It is censored, but that is a homeless man pooping in a store. This is what we've come down to. Here it is being tweeted, originally by whoever Deborah Kahn is. So let me get this straight. The land of where people are impeaching the president because of things that he didn't even do. Why does any politician, why does anyone in California get to have any say in our political process at this point when they can't even keep homeless people from taking a shit in grocery stores? Wasn't it bad enough that they were shitting all over the streets? No, not bad enough. We needed to get worse. We must turn into a third world nation where you just go wherever you please. This is madness. Brought to you from the same place. Isn't that Nancy Pelosi's district? I think it is. Wow. Anyways, actually, I want to Google that right now. All right. San Francisco in Pelosi's district. Let's Google that. Let's find out. All right. It is. Yep. California's 12th congressional district is a congressional district in California. Oh, crap. That's a horrible Wikipedia. Speaker of United States House Representative Nancy Pelosi, a Democrat, has represented the district since January 2013. And currently the 12th district is entirely within the city of San Francisco. So that tells you something. Which also tells us something very interesting when you look at this story from about California. For the first time, more people are leaving California than moving in. I can only pray and hope that the people that are currently leaving California are not bringing their insanity to the rest of the nation. You get what you vote for, people. You get what you vote for. This is what you wanted. This is what you asked for. That is what you get. So yeah, people are leaving the state. It's still the most populous, but stalls at 39.9 million. More people are leaving California than moving in. Evidence of the toll of the state's housing crisis is taken as the world's 5th largest economy inches towards 40 million people. An estimate released by California Department of Finance put the California's population at 39.96 million, just shy of 40 million. Milestone demographers had predicted the state would have passed by now. The report shows California added more than 180,000 people when accounting for births and deaths for the 12-month period ending July 1st, but when you include people who moved in and out of the state, California lost 39,500 people. This is the first time since 2010, according to state officials, in the 2010 census, that more people have left California than moved in over the course of a year, contributing to the state's slowest recorded growth since 1900. People won't move here because they can't afford to come in the door. There are jobs there. The people aren't there. Well, maybe if you didn't think you... maybe people just don't want to also go into grocery stores and find fecal matter on the floor. Or walk the streets and see shit everywhere from humans. Perhaps, maybe instead of building the wall around Mexico, we just build it around California. Jesus. Next story. U.S. vegan parents who eat only raw fruit and vegetables are charged with murder for the starvation death of their 18-month-old son, who was found weighing only 17 pounds. Florida, of course. Not North Florida, it's South Florida, though. Just so you know, there's a difference between the two areas. Look, Florida has become one of the most screwed up states in the country. I feel like they're like looking at California and just like, hold my beer. I can't believe my parents thought this was going to be a good place to raise your kids. That's where I was raised, Panama City, Florida. I mean, the Panhandle, maybe not as bad, but at the same time, I mean, that's when that's when spring break was huge in Panama City with MTV. Good job, Mom, Dad. Parenting fail. Wow. I need to call him on that. Mom, Dad, if you're watching, I love you. But seriously, it's pretty jacked up. Look, these people are terrible. I hope there's a very special place in hell for these people. Who would do that to a child, let alone their own child? Look, I mean, it's true. Vegans are just freaking weird anyways, but yes, their diet is just stupid. But what type of parent would abuse their child like this? I just don't get it. DTEMP says the Panhandle is just lower Alabama. Well, actually, technically, if you think about it, so when Florida was discovered, really, if you go with the fact that Columbus actually didn't discover North America, he landed down somewhere in the Caribbean. When Ponce de Leon discovered Florida, he discovered a whole continent called Florida, and it all got broken up from there and turned into states and countries and all that good stuff. So really, technically, before there was America, there was Florida. Think about that for a bit. All right. This next story, this is just another Holly weird. Oh my God. California. Seriously, guys. Let's do this. Got to get through some painful ones today, guys. These are some painful ones. Let's do it. News. Jason Derulo complains his anaconda was edited out of Cats. So this guy that maybe you've heard of, I sure as hell have not. But if you didn't need the umpteenth reason to hate Hollyweird, here you go. So some actor you've never heard of is mad that his penis was digitally removed from a very all CGI movie that is also supposed to be rated PG. Since when do we want people's anacondas just flopping around in a PG movie? This is probably just another reason this movie is a box office failure. In its opening weekend, it brought in $2.6 million. That is, it has also received dismal reviews. And despite its cast of several famous people, including the guy who played, Magneto, and T. Swift, and a budget of $95 million, this movie has just gone to hell. So Taylor Swift, I suggest you shake it off. Please tell me that you gentlemen all got that reference and I'm not the only weirdo who is familiar with some of Taylor Swift's music. We'll call her my future ex-wife. Okay. Now, finally, we can hit some good news. My boss lets us book hangover days. Yes, hangover days are now becoming a thing. But I mean, don't we already kind of have this? We call it New Year's Day. But I mean, honestly, in all seriousness, this is actually kind of awesome. Because the intention is actually really just to get employees to be a little bit more honest within this company. They had said no one's abused it yet. No one's like trying to miss 3 or 4 days at work. And basically the idea is like, okay, yep, you can just, you're having a hangover day. You're going to work from home. So just work from home. I actually prefer working at home. I feel much more productive when I'm sitting at home and can also take the breaks I need just to get up and clear my head, play with the dog for a brief second before sitting down and concentrating again. So I actually kind of like this idea. It's just really, hey, let's promote some honesty within the workplace. But it does sound hilarious to say I'm booking a hangover day. Be like, hey, boss, I'm getting hammered tonight. I'm not coming to work tomorrow. I'll work from the house. That's hilarious. Pretty cool. But, I mean, I can definitely see this being very much abused. But, hey, apparently, what country was this in? It was from the BBC. But, Manchester. So it's in England. You know, England would be okay. Ireland probably not so much. They would all be working from home. Anyways, next story. You may have already heard this one. Iowa man sentenced to 16 years for setting LGBTQ. Jesus, hasn't that gotten bigger? All right, whatever. That acronym's gotten bigger. He sets their flag on fire and he gets 16 years in jail. So, look, here is basically what happened. So, the guy goes by a church, sees their flag. This was flown at a church. He grabs it and is like, this is bullshit. Maybe he didn't say that. But he takes the flag and puts fire on it. He was charged. He was found guilty last month with third-degree arson in violation of individual rights, a hate crime, third-degree harassment, and reckless use of fire as a habitual offender. I'm sorry, but this is an insane punishment. I Googled how much one of these flags would cost. So a 3x5 flag would cost anywhere from $8 to $30. I also Googled vandalism. So most states consider vandalism of property under $500 to be a misdemeanor. Typical punishment would be restitution, paying back the property owner for damage, some fines, and probation and or community service. Gave him 16 years. What makes this even more insane is this story coming from Iowa. I looked up in Iowa. We are Iowa. You see that. Ex-college athletes sentenced to 5 years in prison for rape. Rape. 5 years. So you're telling me a guy who committed an act of vandalism, a kind of a douchey thing to do, sure, but certainly not something that would get you 16 years in jail. I could even see 16 days in jail for someone who's repeatedly offender. As they said, he was a habitual offender of being an asshole. But you don't give someone 16 years in jail for that, when you only give a rapist 5 years. I think the sentences are a little jacked up here, okay? Let's be honest, this is simply just more BS brought to you by the woke crowd. Ooh, I'm so woke! Here's one you may have missed over the impeachment debacle. U.S. raises tobacco and e-cigarette purchases from 18 to 21. At 17, you can enlist with your parents' permission. 18, you can enlist on your own. 18, you can vote. 21, you can drink. But now you can't smoke until you're 21. Same as alcohol. Brought to you by the same people who think 16-year-olds should be able to vote. So let that think in. Let that sink in. If you were 17 to 20 years old, politicians think you are perfectly fine to fight in wars. And even vote when you're a sophomore or junior in high school with their thought process now. But how dare you smoke? Look, I'm not condoning tobacco use. I think it was one of the most horrible decisions I ever did when I started picking up smoking and dipping. Very glad I was able to quit. But people need to be able to make their own choices. Government should not be able to interfere with things that individuals do that have no consequences to anyone else, because they don't. 16 driver's license, yep. So, I saw something pretty disturbing. I'm going to share it with you guys. I hope you're okay. I hope you can handle this. Because I don't even. Transition.
On the first day of Liz, Miss Liz Warren gave to us a big dream of structural change. On the second day of Liz, Miss Liz Warren gave to us crying billiards and a big dream of structural change. On the third day of Liz, Miss Liz Warren gave to us 2-cent tax, crying billiards, and a big dream of structural change. On the fourth day of Liz, Miss Liz Warren gave to us medic.
I will share you the rest, or I will save you from the rest of that. I kind of wonder if she is related to the judge that punished that guy for 16 years in jail for setting a flag on fire. I'm really also wondering is she trolling? Is this parody? It's just weird. It's just too weird, man. Too weird. And, wow, you can definitely say that the left is showing full bore their insanity since 2016. That is nuts. And yes, D-Tump, that is the flag of the USSR. Gun-toting pacifist. I stopped it. I stopped it, man. You don't have to see that again. Unless you want to. Do you want to see it again? Do you want to? I'm just kidding. But yeah, wow, that was painful. And it's like she didn't even have any real enthusiasm, though. I mean, she was there with a smile, but on the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me. Oh, man. Oh, man. Yeah, I need another bong rip to get through that. Like, really? What is wrong with these people? This is what we're dealing with, people. The Red Bull is about to run out. I don't have any long videos that I could use to go get a beer. It's okay. We will survive halfway through the stories. This next one, I really actually have a hard time believing. This is from the New York Post, not to be confused with the New York Times. Less than half of troops support Trump, says poll. I really do have a hard time believing this simply because when I was with 125, we had guys referring to him as like the Emperor King or Emperor God or God Emperor, God King, something like that. Whatever, some reference to some game, Warhammer or something. Anyways, I really have a hard time believing that less than half the troops are behind him. I mean, come on. Let's see. They've gotten raises. Let's see. Pretty much they've actually had a president that supported them instead of repeatedly screwed them over like Obama did when I was in. But yeah, apparently less than half, according to this poll. Now, I do have more videos though. I do. Okay. I hope you guys are ready for this. Let's talk about Biden here, who...
If elected, you would turn 82 at the end of your first term. You'd be the oldest president in American history. Are you willing?
Churchill.
Are you willing to commit American history?
Oh, American history.
Yes. Are you?
I was joking. That was a joke.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Politico doesn't have much of a sense of humor.
Oh, we've got a great sense of humor.
Look at me messing that up. Let's try that again. Well, look, sorry about that. I won't do that again because try it one more time.
If elected, you would turn 82 at the end of your first term. You'd be the oldest president in American history. Are you willing?
Churchill.
Are you willing to commit American history?
Oh, American history.
Yes. Are you?
I was joking. That was a joke.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Politico doesn't have much of a sense of humor.
Oh, we've got a great sense of humor. They wouldn't have put me on stage otherwise.
The guy doesn't even know what country he's running for president of. He doesn't even know who our previous presidents are, who famous prime ministers of allied nations are. Winston Churchill was prime minister of Britain during World War II. Famous pictures of him. I think there's like a famous picture of him with like a Tommy gun, like a cigar somewhere. Anyways, let's talk about some of this impeachment here. Yeah, impeachment happened last week. That would have been fun to cover, but I was dying. GOP congressman compares Trump's impeachment to Pearl Harbor. Yeah, might be going a little bit far, but I mean, it's, no one died over this, but this is definitely a BS scenario. It's just political BS. It all is. And they pushed this through, they rammed it through. And now, if you look at this article from the Daily Mail, they changed the title, didn't they? Or maybe it's this next one. Oh, okay, this one was saying, we'll talk about Mitch McConnell in a minute. We don't need that story yet. Senate House impeachment impasse would mean Trump wasn't impeached at all. What this one says? Oh, we'll get to that one in a minute. So here's the deal. If legally what this guy is saying is that this Harvard law professor is saying that if Congress does not send the articles of impeachment up to the Senate, then he actually hasn't truly been impeached. The process has not been completed. Now, Nancy Pelosi, her argument is that they're going to hold on to this as leverage, try to find more articles of impeachment to add. But what leverage do they get out of this by doing nothing? We all know that the quicker that this goes up to the Senate, it's just going to get crushed. Unless they were to get this to go all the way through the next election, if they could get a hold of the Senate, then, because she's trying to hold it until he gets a fair trial. But the reality is that they don't want a fair trial. They don't. So she just wants to try to commit a coup, take over the Senate, get the Democrats to take over the Senate, and then impeach him. And then they're already looking for dirt on Pence. They want to get rid of Pence. And then if they get rid of Trump, they get rid of Pence. Who's left? Who goes up next? Order of succession would be Pelosi. Imagine that. The Crypt Keeper would then be president of the United States if they could take out both of them. And they are trying to link Pence to the fake Ukraine scandal. Now, one of the next stories, Mitch McConnell's comments, he had something pretty funny to say about this.
They said impeachment was so urgent that it could not even wait for due process, but now they're content to sit on their hands. This is really comical. Democrats' own actions concede that their allegations are unproven.
I agree with Mitch McConnell. Now, this next story, we don't have to go through the story, but I thought the title of it was interesting. So this is from The Guardian, okay? See that? Oh, my hand's getting cut off because it's out of the camera screen. I gotta love technology. But here's the title of it. Trump's impeachment may just be another battle in the U.S.'s civil war. We don't care about the content, just the title of this. A foreign magazine is saying that we are in a civil war. Thing is, I think I agree. I think we are indeed in a cold civil war. One that could escalate and could go kinetic with the right catalyst or series of catalysts. And one actually is what's going on in the state of Virginia. Now, I'm not saying this to be dramatic. I don't think there's going to be huge firefights in Virginia turn into a nationwide civil war. But we'll get into that in just a second. I'm going to skip that story. So, this story, we're recapping 2 weeks worth of news here. Governor Ralph Northam, also known as Blackface Klansman, says register your AR-15 with the government or hand it over. So originally, when they were working on their gun control, they were not going to even have a registration for AR-15s. It was just going to be like, nope, it's got to go. No AR-15s whatsoever. No scary rifles at all. But now they want to say have some registration. But we all know that registration is a precursor to confiscation. So, let me pull up the chat while this is going. Next, you have Democrat lawmakers saying, oh geez, get this pop-up to go away. The law is the law. Virginia Democrats float prosecution and National Guard deployment if police don't enforce gun control. I'm sure you guys are already tracking on these two stories, but this continues. The next story. Virginia National Guard won't say no after Democratic lawmakers suggest Guard may be needed to enforce gun control measures. Virginia National Guard on Friday responded to a Democratic lawmaker after he suggested that it may be needed to enforce new gun legislation. So here was a tweet that was sent out. We have received multiple questions regarding proposed legislation for the 2020 General Assembly session and the authority of the Governor of Virginia to employ the Virginia National Guard in a law enforcement role. The Virginia National Guard wrote in a statement posted on Twitter on Friday, "We understand and respect the passion people feel for the U.S. Constitution and Second Amendment rights. We will not speculate about the possible use of the Virginia National Guard." Essentially, that was a non-answer. He gave no answer about what they would do. So when someone gives no answer, that means either two things. They are cowards and won't say that, yes, they will follow orders, or he is a coward to say, no, we are going to follow the Constitution and you can pound sand. And actually, maybe we will arrest you under this context for, I don't know, treason. Might be, a little bit. Now, rumors are a problem. Fake news can be a problem. And that's actually why I want to discuss this next story. Well, looks like actually, I don't need the link. That's fine. That's fine. So, there has been a story going around that Governor Northam was threatening to cut the electric lines, phone lines, and the internet in areas to enforce gun confiscation. If true, this would be truly cause for alarm and time to physically remove Governor Northam from office, because this is a level of tyranny that you simply have no choice anymore. It would have to be met with either government doing the right thing and arresting this guy and removing him from office, or we'd be past niceties and civil discourse and the boogaloo would be on. However, the only source I can find for this is a website for the radio show of Hal Turner, who I was like, I know this name. Where have I heard this before? I Googled the guy and found out, sure enough, this is this guy who put out this. He's a known conspiracy theorist. He's a white supremacist. He was an FBI informant for white supremacists, or dealing with white supremacists in the past. Apparently, he claims to have been arrested by Obama for being a journalist. The guy's a whack job. So be very careful about the information that you get when you have situations like this where the intensity of people's emotions are heightened, and you don't want to... let me put it like this. Once again, I don't see civil war happening. Let's be honest. Half the people who say, oh, the Civil War, it's going to happen. Yeah, okay. Now, the reason I say that, but at the same time, here's the problem. It has become mainstream. This is not the conversations. What scares me about this whole Civil War conversation is this is not the fringes. This is not your crazy Uncle Larry who wears tinfoil around his head at the Thanksgiving dinner because he doesn't want the aliens and reptilians being able to read his mind. Okay, this isn't that guy anymore. This is mainstream left and right people talking about Civil War, and we don't want to have a self-fulfilling prophecy. All right, cooler heads must prevail. Having seen violence firsthand, having been to war firsthand, I do not ever want to see that happen in our country. Trust me, if you are out there and you're going, I want the Civil War to happen, I want you to rethink your position of losing a lot of loved ones. You know, your friends, your neighbors, fighting them because they chose the different side. Even fighting some of your relatives. Not the verbal lashings that we have over Christmas and Thanksgiving, where we disagree with each other politically when all we really need to do is just drink some booze, eat some fatty, delicious foods, have some drinks, hang out with the family, watch some football or something. But there are two more interesting headlines that feed into this. This comes from Law Enforcement Today. As militia formed by police veterans in Virginia explodes, so are others across America. While Virginia is turning into a whole different kind of battleground state, we are receiving messages from people in Washington, Oregon, Arizona, New Mexico, and California saying their own militias are exploding in numbers. And at the same time, lawmakers are looking into what they can do to stop it. They're starting to receive media backing. Last week, Slate released an article called How to Neutralize a Militia, where they argued that nearly every state has the legal tools to crack down on paramilitaries and asking why they don't use them. The article starts off by seemingly trying to pass off the militias as being nothing but a bunch of crazy people. not long ago, it was possible to laugh off the American militia movement as a bunch of old white guys and gun nuts playing army in the woods are freaking out about black helicopters. After the past 5 years, no one's laughing. From the Bunkerville standoff to Unite the Right, armed right-wing extremists have organized to put on their most brazen displays since the days of the Oklahoma City bombing. And in Virginia, the hotbed of the controversy right now, incoming Democrats are looking to use a law passed in 1987 to shut it down. The law states a person is guilty of unlawful paramilitary activity punishable as a Class 5 felony. More on that in a minute. We'll get to Tazewell County. Basically, the point of this article is it goes on to say, here's a comment. I always thought these militia folks were nuts, wrote one man to LA Law Enforcement Today. As a retired law enforcement officer, I saw them as running against law enforcement. Now I realize that they're often made up of law enforcement and we need to bridge that divide. The nation is turning upside down and that's why I joined in Oregon. Here's a woman who talked. I'm the last person you expect to see in a group like this. As a black millennial woman, it catches people off guard. But serving as a Marine in Iraq, I saw what happens to a nation when it descends into anarchy and we cannot allow it here. I am ex-Vietnam vet, ex-police, retired, and behind your ideas 100%. Anything I can do, I would like to help. There's more people talking about these militias. Now, D-Temp, I'm getting there. So now we see militias are exploding in growth, largely due to the crisis in Virginia. So we have to ponder, will Virginia be the next Lexington and Concord? Very well could be. Hopefully not. So, but here is where things get really interesting. From True Pundit, Virginia County defund militia per U.S. Constitution in wake of Democrats' gun control agenda. So in Tazewell County, this is on the far west, almost southern central area of Virginia, bordering West Virginia. They have decided not only to be a Second Amendment sanctuary, but also fund and train their own militia. So a county militia to be used potentially against the National Guard. Now that is interesting. I don't see it as a bad thing at all. Actually, Virginia even has on top of the National Guard, which is considered the modern militia, they have the Virginia Defense Force, which is an unarmed paramilitary organization that acts as an augment for the National Guard in events of crisis. They are not paid. They are volunteers. They help. Normally, it's former military, former police. Think of it as it's a volunteer group of kind of like retirees who can man a radio or stuff like that. They can move MREs and help hand out water just to alleviate the National Guard to do other more pressing matters. But this is a big stand. This is to say, hey, YOLO, you want to fuck with our county? We'll fight. And please excuse the explicitive. Tried to avoid F-bombs on here, but happens from time to time. But I think that's actually incredible. I do think that's incredible. People are willing to stand up at the government level. That's pretty powerful. I really hope that Governor Blackface Klansman I hope he and his cohort of Democrats realize that they should abort their plans. But I think this actually serves as a test bed to see if they could get away with that throughout the rest of the nation. Virginia is a very conservative state, but due to the North End becoming more liberal due to the cesspool of D.C., flooding over into Virginia, which is cheaper to live, has been turning purple, and I think this is serving as a test bed. Now, Look, we are living in some perilous times right now. It seems every week things get crazier and crazier. For years, we have heard murmurs in dark corners of the internet about civil war, like when Bundy Ranch took place back in, I want to say, 2014. However, things are very different now. It isn't just people on the fringes of society. It's not these fringes thinking civil war is imminent. This isn't just your crazy uncle, as I said, who thinks that all the world leaders are reptilian shapeshifters and they're from the center of the hollow earth. This is regular Americans talking about civil war. We were talking about this as something feasible, not just like fiction. This is having normal conversation now on the left and the right. People are very concerned. Now, with it's still winter, and I don't think there'll be too much going on other than in terms of rhetoric. But once spring and summer hits, things could get very hairy. You could see an uptick in violence, especially as political stuff gets more intense. The Antifa losers get out. But you take those, there's something else. You know, I've been telling you guys over and over about economics for the last month. An article that came out last week that I would have loved to cover would be how to get us through the holiday season without us having actually an economic crash on the level of 2008 or beyond. There was a $500 billion quantitative easing that the Federal Reserve put in. They pumped $500 billion into the market to keep things going. So every time someone's going, the Dow's doing great, the stock market's doing awesome, you're an idiot. It's doing well because it's inflated because of a $500 billion dump by the Fed that they are not calling quantitative easing, but it is. A spade is a spade. All right. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Or quantitative easing in this case. What does that mean? It means they're printing a shit ton of money, devaluing our currency, which led to the crash of 2008 through risky loans that should have never been put out. Right now, we have two bubbles that could burst. You have the student loan bubble. You have the repo market, which is a big problem as well. I won't go hugely into those, but imagine this. Imagine that you have the political climate that we are in, where people are talking about civil war. Then you combine an economic crash prior to the election. You'd be looking at some serious trouble there. I mean, if you have people going without food, then you put in some political trouble. Yeah, you'll see. You would see some real trouble there, and I really hope it doesn't come to that. I don't want it to come to that. I hope I am wrong, but I do fear that a bubble will be bursting. I really have a gut feeling it's going to happen next year, and I hope I am wrong. And if I am wrong, come back, go ha 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 ha. No, but I'm a little bit worried. I'm a little concerned about these things, and I don't want to be here fear mongering, because I want the best. I want us to, peace, prosperity for everyone, success for everyone. I want to continue to live my mundane life and be fat and happy. Too old to fight, man. Plate carriers, helmets, all that gear. Whew, no fun. My thumb is all jacked up, and this is my shooting hand. I don't need that. All right, guys. Look. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all's support means everything. Please do spread that this channel exists. Even people who used to watch the show, even some who were Patreons in the past, had no idea that I am out here producing content again. So please help me out and tell people. Smash the like button. If it's your first time here, hit the sub button. It really helps. We want to grow. We want you here. And as always, look, if you guys can support me on Patreon, that helps more than you know. I would like to be able to create a lot more content for you, which takes a lot of time. This actually takes probably about 7-8 hours to produce this one show. With all the, even with all like the silliness of the mistakes that we make. It takes a hot minute. So, thank you all so much. Find me on Twitter, above the header on my channel. Follow me there. Follow me on Patreon. Even follow me on Patreon if you don't have money to spare, because you can do that for free and you can enjoy content that way as well. You get more. I'll be working on the website. I will hopefully launch that in the new year. Deuces, my friends.